16th, 2021.
Welcome to the wide angle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
NTD just
You've
ended,
been at the
so
forefront of this audit effort, so it's a great pleasure to have you on.
I've never even heard of this.
On where things are
Maricopa.
at and what you see happening down the track. Regarding the
Although this
ongoing
looks
tensions
familiar.
between yourselves,
Arizona.
the Senate, and the Maricopa Board of Supervisors.
What I will say is I noticed there was a North Macedonian flag hanging with the United States flag behind her. I'm really not up to the specifics because nobody informs me of anything, but I do notice pieces out in the whatever as I'm going about my daily whatever.
You recently tweeted, "Build the case, set the trap, and boom, the Maricopa lies will come back to haunt them." Can you give us your explanation of what you meant by this?
Yes, it's been an ongoing battle since we first started this, and unfortunately, instead of them working with us, they have done everything in their power to try and stop this audit, or I'll use the
That
word
would be it
sabotage
right there.
in some case. But it's interesting
Because it's
over
not
the
all
months
of
that this has
North
transpired, how the
Macedonia
stories have
involvement.
changed as to what they will do, what they
There it
won't
is,
do,
right there.
promises made, promises not kept, and as all of this drags on, there is just more and more contradiction that is coming out of this.
I don't know this woman, by the way. Never heard of her, never spoken to her. She's someone in the world, I just don't know who.
An audit is what it is. The numbers will come out. And
I don't know this audit process, never even heard of it before. I mean, I've heard of an audit, but I don't know what it entails.
What's the most compelling example of this, would you say?
Well, when this all first started, right after the very beginning, the first week, at the end of the election week, I actually contacted all 5 of the supervisors and said, you know what, there's a lot of chatter out there, emails, Twitter, blogs, talking about how there's problems with this election. And this is not the first time. They had problems with the 2018 election as well. The Board of Supervisors even came to me and said, we're going to hire somebody because
I don't know who these elections are and who runs them. I really don't.
So many problems. And I said, look, we need to get ahead of this. And they said, Karen, you bet. We're 100% behind this with you. And we'll be glad to do it, that we can do a much bigger count in the audit rather than the minimum. And then there were some lawsuits filed by outside people. Then they said, oh, we cannot do this while the lawsuits are going on because we don't want to be charged with tampering with evidence. I said, I get it. About a month later, those lawsuits were all dismissed, and then I reached back out to them again, and they said, oh, well, no, we can't do any more of an audit because we can only do what the legislature authorizes us to do. And I said, well, you actually do have the power, but if you do, if you think you don't, then we'll give you that. So we set up a judicial committee hearing on a Monday morning, and I said, Supervisor Hickman, I said, please be aware, at the end of that hearing, the judicial chair is going to have 2 subpoenas drafted for discussion and possible approval by the committee to issue subpoenas for doing this, which will give you the authority. And this was all talked about, discussed, choreographed the week before. Supervisor Hickman knew full well that's what it was. I even said, if you don't want to be on here when this happens, then feel free to sign off. And he said, that's great. Well, they issued the subpoenas, giving them the authority to do this. And the next morning, he goes before the media and says, I felt like I was slapped in the face. I had no idea this was coming. Well, there was lie number 1. Well, it was probably more than lie number 1. So it's just been stuff that's been going on. Then they sued us because they said, oh, the Senate doesn't have the authority to issue subpoenas. So that took another 3 weeks. Then the courts came back and said, yes, they do. And this has been a nonstop all the way through. They have refused to comply with the subpoenas on a number of issues. They have said they'd give us the routers. Then they said they won't because it was tied to security with the deputy sheriffs. And then their latest is, oh no, there were no routers at all. And the list just keeps going on and on.
That's fine. I'm just updating myself on this one piece.
Consistency between the messages they're sending out and what they're saying to you behind the scenes on some occasions.
You ever heard of Maricopa?
Personal opinion.
Yeah, me neither. First time I've ever heard of it. It's August 16th,
From
2021.
the very beginning. And
Linda's
then they
never
go
heard
into
of it either.
Executive session and discuss it with their attorneys. and then come out with a totally different tune as to what they're going to do. We had agreed to do a forensic audit with the new chairman that came on board. He went into executive session and said, hey, from day one, I said, let's do this together. Let's do it at your facilities. I don't want the ballots moved. I don't want the machines moved. Let's pick an auditor, a forensic auditor together, and let's just do it. It would have been done months ago. Chairman Sellers, the new chairman, he said, great, that sounds like a great idea, Karen. Let's do it. I'll take it to an executive committee.
This is the human process.
Hey, we're not going to do anything with you, but we're going to do 2 audits. And we're going to do SLI and ProVMV. And I said, but Jack, those aren't forensic audits. Those are the companies that are authorized to certify the machines. They do not do audits. They do not do forensic audits. And he goes, well, too bad. That's what we're doing. We're not doing anything else. And I said, but even one of them is the company that certified the machines to begin with. So they're certifying their own work. Again, they said, too bad. And I said, well, this isn't what we agreed on, so the Senate's going to move forward with a forensic audit. So you asked me the question about what's going on. I think they went into an executive session. I think that their attorney said, we don't know what we might find in a forensic audit, and this could be opening up a lot of questions that you may not want people asking. Just my own personal opinion.
Between the alien process and the human process, between U.S. and whatever else there is.
Sidestep, not answer. They have set up their own Twitter page and website, and they are literally spoon-feeding what they want people to know. Who does that? You're a municipality, you're elected officials. Why aren't they sitting down at the table with us and saying, let's walk through this? We had a hearing on July 15th again where we said,
She knows the questions to ask. She's the expert here.
2 and 2's not adding up to 4. Could you please help us? Give us an explanation. Give us the things that you were missing that you did not give us from the subpoena that will answer it. And they have just flat out said, no, we're not even talking to you.
It kind of seems like there was the potential for a congenial cooperative arrangement. You've mentioned that their attorneys, you suspect maybe their attorneys have guided them in a different direction. Do you think there's another external influence that's dissuaded them from cooperating as they might have before?
This is the state of Arizona.
That's the primary reason, but yeah, of course, the liberal media from day
Because it's the
one,
first time I've ever heard this even referenced, and I wanted to learn about it. So I'm making a note, because sometimes the information changes between when they air it the first time and when they air it the second time. Thank you. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. Today's also the day Mayor de Blasio and Spike Lee were on NYC, New York City, mention. I also had the Moscow Museum and the Italian Museum in Bertone, Bertone, mention. I had earlier this morning, U.S. Open, Federer guy, his knee surgery, which is a net, I know, it's a Cadbury issue, it's not a surgical knife issue. I also, early this morning, I can't even remember that far back, that's how horrific the short-term memory and the holding on to anything computer graphic in this environment is for me, which is why I document it in the second I'm in it, to hold on in some external source now, being my phone and Google, so this way I have a reference manual to what's going on in my actual, because the amnesia here between the pressure and the weather pattern is so disgustingly disruptive, it's really difficult to manage. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.